Welcome back to Liverpool Reds FC. I'm Drew Farmer, and it's good to have you here as we're going to be talking about Liverpool and their upcoming match this weekend, taking on Bournemouth in the Premier League. And we'll also cast our minds back to Liverpool playing Chelsea in the FA Cup 5th round earlier this week. That took place on Tuesday night at Stamford Bridge, with the Reds falling 2-0 to Chelsea. So guys, we're glad to have you here with Liverpool Reds FC blog. And perhaps you're watching or listening on YouTube, or perhaps you are at our blog having a listen to this. But wherever you are, I hope that you are having a good week, and much better than what we had on Tuesday night as Liverpool supporters. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe our channel, and subscribe to the channel and like this video. And you'll get updates on all of the videos going forward, and we hope that here for the rest of 2020 we'll be posting more regularly than we have been as we continue to build and grow community with the blog, and also with our social media. Also, you can go over to the blog at liverpoolredsfcblog.com, check out the different articles that we post there regularly, and get in on the discussion if you like what you read there. And of course, you can also find some of my work over at fantasysports.co.uk and read up over there on some of the different things happening around the Premier League, as well as in Fantasy Premier League. So let's get on to this week, guys. Liverpool played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, falling 2-0, with the Reds showing once again that goals are a little bit hard to come by. Liverpool falling 2-0, a goal by Willian from an error from Adrian, and a goal from Ross Barkley later on in the 64th minute to seal things for Chelsea. The worrying thing for Liverpool, this was their third loss in 4 games, and in those 3 games Liverpool have failed to score. That is a big worry going forward, as everybody believes the Premier League is wrapped up right now, but Liverpool falling out of the FA Cup, and they must host Atletico Madrid in the second leg of their Champions League last 16 tie coming up next week. We all know that Atletico Madrid are going to come to shut up shop and to possibly hit Liverpool on the counter-attack. Liverpool in need of a goal just to force extra time, so a lot riding on that, and Liverpool going in out of form. Yes, they did score a win 3-2 over West Ham a couple weeks ago at Anfield, but Liverpool also didn't look very good in that match, falling behind to West Ham in the second half 2-1 before making a spirited comeback, and it was also benefited by 2 poor goalkeeping mistakes by Lucas Fabianski of West Ham. So a lot to worry about right now for Jurgen Klopp, players out of form, and the big miss right now being Jordan Henderson, and I think we can see that very much in the last few games, with Liverpool struggling for that leadership in the midfield. And hopefully he'll be back soon, but he should not be back until after that Atletico Madrid game. Of course, Liverpool showed last season in the Champions League semifinals against Barcelona that they can win without star players, and they did that, overcoming that deficit to Barcelona, that 3-0 deficit, without Mohamed Salah. He was on the bench, and got those great goals from Divock Origi and from Jorginho Wijnaldum. So Liverpool, a lot to do against Atletico Madrid. But before that happens, they're going to be taking on Bournemouth this weekend, and that is a great fixture, because Liverpool can get back in form taking on Bournemouth. Now, if we look at the games played, or the game played earlier this season between the two sides, we saw Liverpool come out on top 3-0, and they were 2-0 up at halftime in that game. Completely dominated Bournemouth thanks to goals from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, and Mohamed Salah. And Liverpool, with a great record going up against Bournemouth, they are unbeaten in the last 5 games, keeping clean sheets in all of those games. So Liverpool should be able to get past a lowly Bournemouth right now, who look like, to me, they're going to be going down, and they have not played that great this season. And if you're picking one of the 3 teams that are going to go down right now, I think they've got to be one of them. So Liverpool will be playing Bournemouth this weekend, and hopefully getting back to winning ways. And you've got to think that Klopp will play a relatively strong team against Bournemouth, as he's going to want to get players back in form and fit and ready to go for that big game against Atletico Madrid, which is going to be an exciting one. Now, one of the topics I'd like to talk about today here on the episode is Takumi Minamino. We saw him play against Chelsea in the FA Cup 5th round, playing in that central striker position that Roberto Firmino usually plays in, and that is the position that Klopp has regularly chosen to play Minamino, although I don't think, personally, that that is his best position. I would actually rather see him out wide on the left, while Divock Origi plays through the middle. And if you go back to Red Bull Salzburg, where Minamino came from, he was used to playing out wide, while earlier this season Erling Haaland played through the middle, and that was where he was most effective, scoring goals and creating them as well. So Klopp, though, preferring to play him through the middle and have that attacking midfielder slash hybrid striker playing through the midfield who can link up the midfield and the attack, as well as bring the two wide attackers together. So we saw Minamino playing there. Now, it wasn't a bad game, and I would say that it was his best game overall since arriving at Liverpool. He's only played 3 times in the Premier League coming off the bench. He's played 3 times from the start in the FA Cup. And although we haven't seen the best from Minamino, I think that we will possibly next season. I think he needs more time to settle in, especially with his style of play. And, Klopp was very critical of the rest of the Liverpool team for not linking up with him during the game, especially in the second half. Minamino was practically a ghost in the second half after, in my opinion, being Liverpool's best attacking player in the first half. Now, there were some problems, I thought, that Minamino brought for himself, and I wrote about that recently in an article for fantasysports.co.uk. You can go over there and check that out in the fantasy football section. But I thought Minamino was too unselfish on Tuesday night against Chelsea. There were times that Minamino was in space and he got the ball, yet he was too eager to give it up. He did make some excellent he did link up excellently with Sadio Mane at times and Divock Origi, but there were opportunities for Minamino to carry the ball and drive into space, and even to take shots on rather than pass. But he was a bit too eager to pass the ball, and perhaps that is him trying to win over his fellow teammates, who, again, in the second half, looked like they didn't trust him to link up and pass the ball to him. But that actually reminds me of last season, when Fabinho, before he made his mark in the Liverpool starting 11, and he was still trying to find his feet at Anfield and rarely playing, occasionally coming off the bench, we saw Liverpool's players not really connecting with him. There was the game against Arsenal at the Emirates, in which Liverpool and their players were a bit afraid to pass to Fabinho and to really link up with him. It was almost like they were trying everything not to pass to him because they were afraid he's going to give the ball away, and in a way that reminds me, or that makes me think of the situation with Minamino right now, that the players are just a bit afraid to give him the ball. But there were very much signs of him coming to the forefront as a Liverpool player, but he just needs to be a bit more selfish with the ball. And one of the things I saw over the weekend were a lot of non-Liverpool supporters taking to social media and calling Minamino the flop of the season in the Premier League, which is absolutely ridiculous. Minamino has played 3 times in the Premier League, and if we're just talking about the Premier League and we're not talking about the FA Cup, he's played 3 times in the Premier League, all off the bench. His longest run out was against Wolverhampton Wanderers when Sadio Mane went off, and he came in and he played on the right-hand side of the attacking 3, and according to Klopp, wasn't fully fit when he was playing that game. But these critics calling Minamino the flop of the Premier League season, not even thinking about people like Paul Pogba, who's played 7 games, is all for Manchester United and has not wanted to come back in the side, has had this foot injury that he has claimed. So it's a bit ridiculous that all of these people, these critics, would be calling Minamino the flop of the season at Liverpool. But I digress on that. I think that Minamino did have a good game and could have been much better but in the end, Liverpool not able to carry on in the FA Cup. And just looking at Minaminos' stats line, he tallied 46 touches, 82% pass success rate, 1 dribble, and 2 tackles. Now, of course, as I was saying earlier, he wasn't selfish enough. He didn't tally any key passes, and he did not tally any shots. But there's hope for the future when it comes to Takumi Minamino. Now, as I said before, Liverpool playing Bournemouth this weekend. Minamino will probably find himself on the bench. Probably will not be making his way into this game, as I believe Klopp will be going with a strong side minus Jordan Henderson in an attempt to get this team back fully fit and ready for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League coming up. Now, Liverpool just 12 points away from lifting the Premier League title. First time in 30 years to be champions, to be league champions, that is. And it's so close right now that I think a lot of fans can taste it. When I was at the Liverpool-West Ham game at Anfield a few weeks ago, a friend of mine was saying how we're so used to, as a club, winning things at the last minute that it's very difficult to wrap our heads around right now that we're so far ahead in the league and that we're on our way to win the title. So it feels like almost that, and I think this is kind of translated over to the players, that Liverpool has gotten to the point where they feel like the title is inevitable. They're so far ahead, and it's just a matter of time until they win it. And I think that in those last 3 losses to Atletico in the Champions League, Watford in the league, which was a shock and no one saw coming, and that 2-0 loss to Chelsea in the FA Cup, I think that they also were behind this belief that they're so far ahead, that they're miles better than everybody else, that they've gotten a bit complacent. Now, Liverpool have to turn this around this weekend and next week, and then we've got the derby with Everton coming up after the game with Atletico Madrid. So a lot still to play for, and 2 trophies still up for grabs for Liverpool. So a lot going on. So guys, we hope that you've enjoyed yourself this time around. And as I said earlier, we're going to be trying to make this a more regular part of Liverpool Reds FC blog and over at the YouTube page, which you can find by just searching Liverpool Reds FC. And you'll be able to get to listen to this there, or if you're listening to this on another podcatcher, or outlet for podcast, then fantastic. We hope you guys will subscribe and give a 5-star review to the podcast, and also be checking in with our social media. You can check in at Facebook by going over to Liverpool Reds FC blog, and you can get in there and like the page, follow along, and post as well, and find out all the information that we post there. Or you'll be able to find all the blogs and the different audio that we post there. And as well as you can follow me on Twitter at Drew M. Farmer, as well as go over to fantasysports.co.uk, and you can read up on the different articles I write there for the website, and get up to date on all of your fantasy sports needs as well. I hope you guys are having a great week. Please like and subscribe to Liverpool Reds FC on YouTube, and stay in the loop there, guys. It looks like a beautiful day here in the northwest of England. Should be a great weekend of football. It's going to be around 12 degrees, it looks like, and Liverpool will be playing, hopefully dry, playing on a dry day against Bournemouth there at Anfield. And we hope you guys enjoy the game, and we'll be back soon to talk more about Liverpool FC and the season going forward, guys. Thank you, and we will see you soon.